And you are in one of the most strategically significant places on planet Earth when it pertains to that. And you're standing alongside our partners here in the Japanese Defense Forces that are, as was mentioned, increasingly capable in what they can do. And this headquarters here is a part of ensuring that other allies and partners and the Chinese specifically understand the capabilities of this alliance. Again, not because we want conflict. It's not my job to saber rattle and look for conflicts to be had. No, the contrary. We seek peace, but we will be strong in that pursuit. And that deterrence requires that type of warfighting capability, as was mentioned. Leadership on the front lines. That's what this truly is. That's where you are. You're a long way from home. You're away from your community. You're away from your families, some ways with your families, those you love, but you are on the front lines for your country. There's just no doubt about it. I get a chance alongside the president to sort of, as the chairman of the Joint Chiefs puts it, you lay it out on the whole globe on one sheet of paper, and you look at the threats that we face and what we are up against, and there's no doubt we're in a moment where we have to be prepared. And, you know, folks have pointed to the renaming of our department. It wasn't just about names, wasn't about just going back to the War Department. It was that we truly believe in peace. And if you truly believe in peace, and we have a peace president, then you have to be prepared to wage war. You have to be, not talk about it, not talk about defending, but decisively close with and destroy the enemy and win on behalf of your nation. Because you could be called upon to do it. Hopefully you're not. Hopefully we're not. But we better be prepared to on behalf of our nation. And when we look prepared, and we are prepared, then our adversaries make different choices. And they decide that today is not the day. And you are in one of the most strategically significant places on planet Earth when it pertains to that. And you're standing alongside our partners here in the Japanese Defense Forces that are, as was mentioned, increasingly capable in what they can do. And this headquarters here is a part of ensuring that other allies and partners and the Chinese specifically understand the capabilities of this alliance. Again, not because we want conflict. It's not my job to saber rattle and look for conflicts to be had. No, the contrary. We seek peace, but we will be strong in that pursuit. And that deterrence requires that type of warfighting capability, as was mentioned. And that's why, from day one, the president's job, as he said to me, which told me a couple things. First thing he said, when he offered me the job, he's like, Pete, you're going to have to be tough as shit. He was correct. I will confirm that. But then he also looked at me and said, get our department back to warfighting. Turn it back to the warriors. And that's been our job from the beginning. Restore the warrior ethos. A lot of that is common sense. I'm looking out at Americans here who've been doing that for a long time, right? It's discipline, it's standards, it's accountability, it's readiness, it's training, and anything that blocks those things not worth your time. Empowering leaders to enforce those standards and do that training. All the way up and down the chain. I gave a speech, some of you may have seen it, to a few generals and senior enlisted, and some said, well, what are you doing talking about haircuts and beards? It's not about beards and haircuts. The point is, when you let little things go inside any organization, you start to erode the standards across the force, up and down the chain. So by enforcing small things, it's like the broken windows theory of policing that was famously used in New York City. When you get rid of the squeegee men and you don't let people jump the turnstiles, pretty soon you're enforcing the small things and the culture of criminality erodes. Same thing inside our formations. We've all seen it. I was a platoon leader. You know when you let one of your squads or one of your teams or a part of your formation start to slide or someone's not enforcing standards. You want to live inside a formation where you're empowered to enforce those standards because there's one standard across the force. And that's why it was so dangerous when phrases like, our diversity is our strength were peddled as the most important thing in our military. I look out at this group and I see a lot of diverse faces, and that's a beautiful thing. Black, white, everything in between, rich, poor, male, female, city kids, country bumpkins, all of us. But when you're wearing that uniform, none of that matters, because your strength is your shared purpose. Your strength is the unity of our mission. Your strength is the oath you swore to the Constitution. Your strength is the capability of what you can do, what you put in the air, what you put on the ground, the dilemmas you create for the enemy. As the president said, we're back to merit-based, colorblind, gender-neutral, merit-based. And when that's the case, leaders can enforce, everyone knows what the standard looks like, and you revive that warrior ethos where it's back to basics. It's really just common sense stuff, and we lost our way on some of those things. We've got leadership now that's recharting that course. We're also rebuilding our military, making sure you have the very best at your fingertips. We're going to be the most lethal because obviously a lot of it has to do with platforms and planes and ships and missiles and long-range fires and drones and hypersonics and subs and all the things you see, but it's the capabilities of all of you that employ that sophistication at the decisive moment. That's rebuilding our military. That's making sure you got the money to train, the ability, the clarity about your mission in order to employ all those things. So that's rebuilding the military. Restore your warrior ethos, rebuild the military, and reestablish deterrence. You see, you can be strong, but if you don't use that force wisely, or you don't use it at the necessary moments, your enemies might decide, well, they don't think twice, they act. And so what you saw in Afghanistan with the debacle of that withdrawal, what we saw on October 7th against one of our allies, what you saw in the war in Ukraine, was the perception that America wasn't quite up to what it should have been in the past. And President Trump gave me the assignment, along with the entire team, and it all comes from the top, from the president, that we're going to reestablish that deterrence. So if you look at the actions we've taken, take the Houthis, for example, the campaign that existed there, Operation Rough Rider. The principle of freedom of navigation of the seas has long been something our Navy, our Air Force enforces. You don't shoot at our ships. Pirates don't set the terms. But if you allow that to erode, suddenly a terrorist organization is shooting at our ships and they're shutting down key shipping lanes. The president said no longer. So they found out about American power until they cried uncle and said, we're not going to shoot at your ships anymore. Narrow mission. We're not trying to nation build inside Yemen and regime change of the Houthis. It's, hey, we've got power. We're going to use it. We're going to change the dynamic. Same with Operation Midnight Hammer. How many presidents have said that Iran can't have a nuclear bomb? Almost every single one. How many acted on it? President Trump, alongside our allies in Israel, to say only one country in the world, ours, has the ability to go 37 hours back and forth with 7 B-2s, be completely undetected, drop the world's most powerful bombs on exactly in the right location to dismantle a vicious adversary's nuclear capabilities. That's reestablishing deterrence. It's locking down our southwest border. You can't let 20 million people into your country and you don't know where they're coming from and not call that an invasion. By locking that down, you're recognizing our country comes first and our borders matter. Reestablishing deterrence. We fought for 20 years Islamist enemies around the globe. A lot of you did. I was there. And there was a lot of goodness in what was accomplished by our troops. Ultimately, we have other entities in our hemisphere that have been poisoning America's young people and Americans for far too long. Drug cartels, narco-terrorists. They go by different names, but they're basically the Al-Qaeda of the Western Hemisphere. They operate in cartels that poison the American people and bring violence to our streets. President Trump has said we're going to untie the hands of our military and make sure they understand there's a new dynamic. You see, we fight the same way for years and years and wonder why it never ends. We used to joke about the Iraqi catch and release program when I was a platoon leader there. You'd roll up insurgents on the battlefield and then hand them in, and then 3 days later, they're back on the battlefield fighting you again. That doesn't mean you take justice into your own hands. It just means you be smart about how you conduct the fight. So if you're trying to get rid of narco-terrorists, and you've spent 20 years releasing, and you believe they're an enemy of the American people, an imminent threat to the safety of the American people, then taking that direct action, treating them like the narco-terrorists there are, is meant to change that dynamic. Again, reestablishing deterrence. So when America sees the most powerful, the most lethal, the most capable force on planet Earth, which you are, and then they see a president willing to put America first, apply peace through strength, and apply common sense, then they start to understand that the enemies of America are on notice and the allies of America are emboldened, like the allies we have right here in this theater. Allies that many of which I'll see over the next couple of days as we continue to travel. And I spend a lot of time drinking a lot of coffee, meeting with foreign leaders. And that's fine, they're wonderful people. But not as wonderful as all of you. That's right. It's the best part of the job. Because I look out at these eyes, and these eyes are the eyes of deterrence. You're my neighbors. I was in your spot not that long ago. I understand the uncertainty of an order and how long I'll be there. What's my mission? What's the clarity? What does the future look like? We're trying to provide that clarity, embolden you to have that bold American spirit, puff your chest out a little bit more and say, hey, we know why we're here. We know what we're doing. We have the tools we need to get it done. We got a president who's going to chart the course. And ultimately, what I always wanted when I was a platoon leader, what I wanted in combat or in a risky situation was to know that my leaders had my back. That's it. You do difficult things, sometimes in the dead of night, with not all the resources you need or not enough sleep, and where life or death is at stake. You make mistakes. I wanted to know when I took those risks that my commander, my first line leader, battalion commander, brigade commander, division commander, pick air wing commander, you name it, would ultimately have my back in that pursuit. And what I always want to tell our brave troops, our amazing warriors, is President Trump has your back. I watch it every day. I wish every part of the American public would have a chance to watch him in the Oval Office or on phone calls with foreign leaders. His instinct is America first. His instinct is to back up Americans doing those difficult things because he loves you. He loves the country. I love you. We appreciate you. We stand beside you. We're here to serve you. That's what this is. This is all service. You could be doing a lot of other things. You decided to give the prime of your life to a bad haircut. No, I'm just kidding. I had one for a long time. The prime of your life to something bigger than yourself. To raising your right hand and doing something difficult. Being held to a higher standard. Be proud of that. You should be. You're the real 1%. I've spent a lot of time with folks that, society says are the 1%ers, the elite. No. The president says this and he's right. You are. With what you're willing to do, what you're willing to endure, what you're willing to undertake, where you're willing to deploy. That's right here. That's this mission. So thank you for everything you do. It's an honor to be here with our entire team. Our job in the Pentagon is to work tirelessly to get you what you need. We don't do anything. We talk. But if we do our job right, we're empowering senior leaders to allow you to do your job right, to untie your hands, to give decision-making further to those that need to be making those decisions on behalf of the American people. And then our adversaries have to think twice and say, today is not the day. Thank you for everything you do. Give my best to your families. Tell them how much we appreciate them and what they give, the sacrifices they give. And we will continue to stand alongside you as we defend our great country. God bless you all. Thank you.